Hello and welcome to the Spa circuit for the Belgian Grand Prix for the Invictus Racing League's F1 Equal League. I am Tim, I'm your commentator for today. Hope you are very excited for this race, and it is going to be a very wet qualifying session. As you can see right now, we're watching Tamworth Fox in the Racing Point machine. He's on his outlap. And today we have a newcomer, someone who is making his F1 debut here with us today. Ozone Never Miss there right now in the 7th position. Technically, of course, no one's setting a time just yet, but he is making his debut here today in the F1 League. So, welcome to Ozone Never Miss. M. Doran on his outlap in the Ferrari right there. FPL Charlie in the 9th position. Of course, this is just provisional right now. There is no time on the board. No one has even started their flying lap at the moment. Give me just a minute. I'm going to double check the stream here. Okay, finally I do have the stream pulled up on my phone. Took me a moment there, but we got it. Meanwhile, we see Tamworth Fox still on his outlap, about to start his flying lap now. Foxy Red in the 4th position has started his flying lap. Scopefielder, your points leader, leading Foxy Red by 35 points after that disappointing DNF last 2 weeks ago for Foxy Red. So Scopefielder, your points leader, leading by 35 points. He is in the Renault today. Foxy Red also in the Renault. Meanwhile, we see White Fountain here riding on board with him. He is on his outlap at the moment. Looks like Foxy Red will be one of the first drivers to set a time here, riding on board with him to get a good view of this Spa circuit. If you're just joining us, welcome. Obviously a very wet qualifying session here. Gonna definitely put a spanner in things, and I am very much hoping that we also have a wet race as well. I have yet to commentate for a wet race, simply just a wet qualifying session. So really hoping the rain actually carries over to the race. Not sure how the drivers feel about that though. I know Ozone Never Miss, he said that he can run decent in the rain. He's making his debut here today, as I said earlier. So if the race does, in fact, have an issue of rain, have a chance of rain, Ozone Never Miss might be able to do pretty decent. He's moving up from the F2 League. Meanwhile, we are on board still with our 2nd place in the points, Foxy Red. He is 35 points behind Scopefielder. FPL Charlie setting the fastest time so far with a 156.827. Foxy Red in 2nd with a 157.731. Zyman in 3rd, 158.936, a 205.8 to your points leader of Scopefielder. Look for that to improve later on. He must have gotten off the track somewhere. I guess he's trying to start a new lap. Yeah, he's not worrying about going into the pits right now. He's just starting a new flying lap. So look for that time to improve next time around. Meanwhile, we have Tamworth Fox here. He's going to complete his lap momentarily. Through the S is going to start going down through the downhill section. Meanwhile, Ozone Never Miss, currently our 3rd fastest qualifier with a 157.788. M. Doran in 4th with a 158.692. Times are all over the board at the moment, and Tamworth Fox gets a little loose in the downhill section and spins and goes head-on into the wall. That was a rough hit and definitely going to have some wing damage there. There you see it. Absolute wing damage. He's going to have to pit for a brand new wing, get that car repaired, and then maybe go out. Meanwhile, White Fountain has now set the fastest lap of the session with a 1:56.464. So 7 drivers have set a time so far. Tamworth Fox, of course, just got in the wall. You saw it here. Meanwhile, CPI Alex just spun out. Undoubtedly, that was because of the rain. I mean, obviously here, drivers already having some tough times in qualifying. So the 2 Racing Point machines have both spun out. Likely some damage on the back of Alex's car. So look for him to pit this time. Meanwhile, Ton Albanach and Rudy starting their out lap now. Ton Albanach now starting his flying lap. He is in the Red Bull, riding on board with him now. Going up Il Rogue. Down this long straightaway, gonna go into this very tight right-hander, very slow right-hander through the S's before the downhill section. There he goes through the S's, heading toward the downhill section now. Now remember, Tamworth Fox, just a lap ago, he spun in the section coming up here. Will Ton Albanach be able to hold on to it, or will he also have some issue with the rain here? He's going a little wide, I guess maybe trying to compensate. He gets maybe just a little bit loose. Maybe a small slide, but he does carry through that corner very nicely. No issue for Ton Albanach there. Keeping it within the lines, keeping it on the track. Very nice form. Taking a look at CPI Alex now, who has just set the 8th fastest time, a 2:13.929, belongs to Alex right now, spinning just a little bit of a slide in turn 1 there. Looks like he's going to try to do another flying lap. Meanwhile, Tamworth Fox now on his out lap after pitting for a brand new wing, so let's see if he can hold on to it this time around. Through the S's now, approaching the downhill section. Gonna watch to see if he can make it through this time. Learn from your mistakes. Hopefully he's been able to do that, at least for his sake. Gets a little bit loose coming out of that corner, but does not spin like he did the last time. Very nice there. Now he's just going to have to do it one more time for his timed lap next time around. Meanwhile, we have TB right here. He's going through the S's. A little bit of a slide there, but he hangs on to it. He's on his flying lap right now. Still only 8 drivers with a time. TB gets through there very nicely. Now under the F1 2019 banner. Very fast through that section and very nice indeed. He hung on to it. Meanwhile, White Fountain set the fastest lap yet again, improving on his previous lap time. It is now a 1:56.007 for the pole. Tamworth Fox has just started his flying lap. We'll take a look at him here in just a moment. We're going to finish TB's lap, see if he can hang on to it all the way here. Coming around through the final 2 corners. Looks like he will hang on to it. Now he just has this final straightaway. How will his time compare to everybody else's? 4th fastest for TB. Ton Albanach, 7th fastest, a 158.020. Tamworth Fox on his flying lap right now. And Tamworth Fox spins at the same point that he did the last time around, so he's going to have to pit for yet another front wing. The rain just not being very good at all to Tamworth Fox here today. Luckily, he has 6 minutes left in this session. Meanwhile, M. Doran now has the 3rd fastest time in FPL. Charlie in the 1st position right now with a 155.735. Currently looking at Ozone Never Miss. Right now, he's in the 8th position with a 157.788. Only 2 drivers have yet to set a time. That is Tamworth Fox and Rudy. Rudy right now on his outlap. Meanwhile, a little bit of a slide from Ozone Never Miss, but he hangs on to it. I'm surprised Tamworth Fox did not pull into the pits that time. Maybe he's going to try for another lap, but I feel like he's going to have to pit. Meanwhile, we have Rudy, who has just started his flying lap. Riding on board with him as he goes up through Rogue. I have such a hard time pronouncing that, by the way. And I probably butcher the pronunciation if I'm being honest. Now through the S's is Rudy, approaching the downhill section. Rudy goes just a little bit wide, just barely into the grass, but hangs on to it. A little bit of a slide exiting that part of the corner, but does not make the same mistake that Tamworth Fox did. Looks like there's some kind of connection issue, either between me and Rudy or just Rudy in general. Obviously, you see the stuttering there. Nothing we can do about that. Meanwhile, Foxy Red, 2nd place in the points and 1st on the board in qualifying right now with a 155.571. Give the provisional pole to Foxy Red 2000. Rudy approaching the end of his flying lap. He just has to hang on to it for 2 more corners. And he'll have a time on the board and perhaps a decent time as well. He looks fairly fast. That was a bit of a corner cut there. I don't know how the stewards are going to feel about that. In fact, that will invalidate his time. No, it won't. I apologize. He is 7th fastest on the board. A 157.303. I just counted my chickens a little bit before they hatched there. Thought the start-finish line was just a little bit closer than what it was. So Rudy's 7th on the board now. All drivers have set a time. Maybe not what all they want, but all drivers do have a time on the board. Ton Albanach now 7th fastest, a 157.278. V-Sketch HD in the Haas machine. He's in the 5th position with a 156.610. Foxy Red 2000, still your provisional pole sitter, 155.571. Your points leader of Scope Filter looks like he is on his flying lap. In fact, no, he has retired from the qualifying session, so he is going to line up no better than the 11th position. Meanwhile, TB 237.91 going up Rogue. He is on his outlap. He is in the Toro Rosso. There goes a little bit wide, but not an issue. He hangs on to it. Meanwhile, it looks like the rain is actually starting to let up. Maybe, just maybe, some drivers now are going to go out there on slicks if they want to. They have about 2 minutes to decide whether or not they want to do that. Actually, really, they need to decide here in a few seconds and get out there and try to start a flying lap. Meanwhile, CPI Alex has improved on his time. It is a 157.246 for him. That's fast enough for 8th. Tamworth Fox still 13th. He's on his outlap right now. We're watching him. Gonna see how this lap goes. Each and every time he's tried to start his flying lap, he has spun out in the downhill section in the same part. So we're gonna see if he can improve on his time now. He has a minute and a half to do it. So this will likely be his last attempt if he spins. If he gets any wing damage, it'll probably be the end of his chances of a good qualifying session here today. Meanwhile, it looks like M. Doran, the 4th fastest in that Ferrari with a 156.122. Zyman 118, 5th with a 156.601. He is on his outlap. Looks like FPL Charlie and White Fountain both on their outlap right now as well. There you see TB also on his outlap, about to start his flying lap. And now he's across the line to start his flying lap. Will he be able to improve on his 157.4? Of course, everyone looking for the pole position here. Only one driver can get it right now. Foxy Red 2000 still your provisional pole sitter, a 155.571. He has not improved on that time. Meanwhile, Ton Albanach has retired from this qualifying session. 25 seconds remaining. Of course, the drivers on track will be allowed to complete their flying lap. Meanwhile, Tamworth Fox is going to be across the line now to start his flying lap with just 12 seconds left on the clock. 9 seconds now as he goes into turn 1. Going to ride on board with him, see just how he does on this lap. Will he improve on his time, or will he make the same mistake in the downhill section? Will he spin? Will he get into the wall? I'm not wishing that on him. We're going to see just what happens. A little bit of a slide through Ear Rogue, but he does get by fairly unscathed. Maybe scrubbed a little bit of speed off, but he's none the worse for wear. The car is intact. That's what matters. He is approaching the S's now. Having to slow down tremendously for that tight right-hander. Now approaching the downhill section. A little bit of a slide, but he hangs on to it. Now this next right-hander here, this is where he is spun each and every time. He's taking it very easy around there, and he got through it. Good job, Tamworth Fox. Now he will be able to improve on his 2-minute, 10-second lap. Just has to keep it in between the lines for the rest of the lap. 2 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. Down the very long straightaway. He has only 2 more corners. He has to put together, 3 more. Now 2 more corners. Has to put together 2 more good corners. Meanwhile, FPL Charlie has now set the fastest lap of the session. He is your provisional pole sitter with a 155.240. White Fountain in second with a 155.263. 155.571 belongs to Foxy Red. And where will Tamworth Fox end up on the board? 7th. Give Tamworth Fox the 7th position, and FPL Charlie is your official pole sitter. Your official lineup: FPL Charlie in first, White Fountain in second, Foxy Red 2000 in third, M. Doran 09 in fourth, Zyman 118 in fifth, CPI Alex in the 6th position, Tamworth Fox in 7th, Racing Point Machines lining up side by side. V-Sketch HD and the Haas Machine in the 8th. Mercedes of Ozone Never Miss making his debut here today. He'll roll off in the 9th position. Ton Albanach in 10th. Rudy in 11th. TB in 12th. Your points leader of Scope Filter coming in the 13th and last position. So congratulations to FPL Charlie on his pole position. Will Scope Filter be able to climb his way up from the 13th position to win this race? Will we see a surprise winner here? Will Ozone Never Miss making his debut here today? Will he be able to win his first ever race in the F1 League? Will Foxy Red decrease that gap to Scope Filter in the points? It is 35 points at the moment, 35 points behind Scope Filter. Scope Filter obviously with the advantage in the DNF 2 weeks ago for Foxy Red did not help the matter at all. Meanwhile, we're looking down the F1 paddock, waiting for all the drivers to line up. Momentarily, we will be able to start our formation lap, and then the race. It looks like it's going to be a dry race, but it also looks a bit foggy, maybe a bit overcast. We're going to see. All right, Charlie's saying it is dry all the way through. So it's going to be a dry race here. I'm sure plenty of drivers are happy with that. Don't have to worry about spitting out too much. Of course, these cars are still very squirrely, even in the dry. This session will get underway momentarily, waiting for all the drivers to ready up. So, turning to the Twitch chat now, give us your early predictions. Who is going to win this race? And it looks like Ton Albanach has left the session. We might have to wait. We might have to wait for him to rejoin. Not sure what happened there. Meanwhile, it looks like the session is going to start in about 25 seconds. So not sure what's going on with Ton Albanach. Not sure if he will be able to rejoin or not. Meanwhile, the session is now underway officially, and the formation lap will start here now. You see the drivers lined up on the grid. FPL Charlie, of course, your pole sitter in the Mercedes. White Fountain in second. Foxy Red 2000 in third. Fourth is M. Doran. Zyman 118 in fifth. CPI Alex in the sixth position. Tamworth Fox in seventh. V-Sketch HD in eighth. Ozone Never Miss in ninth. Rudy in the 11th position. TB in 12th. Scope Builder in 13th. And Ton Albanach has rejoined the session, but it doesn't look like he's able to get back into his car. So not sure if we'll have to go to another session or not. I'm just waiting for confirmation of what we're going to do here. If Ton Albanach cannot get back in his car, we will likely have to move to a brand new session. Yes, in fact, that looks like it is what we are doing. All the drivers are now leaving the session. So we're going to be going to a brand new session here momentarily. So bear with us. We will get this race underway very shortly. Waiting for an invite to the next session. So this will take a minute. So bear with us here. I just got an invite. So the new session is now officially underway. The new session is open, live, and public. It'll take a minute for the admins to line up all the drivers accordingly. But just a little bit of a setback here, but we will get the race underway. Meanwhile, you see all the drivers there. They will be joining in momentarily, just as soon as they can. Then we will get this underway just as soon as possible. Of course, as I said, the admins are now going to have to manually set up the start. and give everyone their starting positions back. That should only take a minute or so, then we can get this race underway. Of course, we want Scopefielder to officially start the race, as he is the host and the admin for this league. So meanwhile, go ahead and make you some popcorn. Go make a quick dinner. Put some leftovers in the microwave, and then you can come back here in just 2 minutes time, 3 minutes time, and hopefully we will be starting our formation lap by then. In fact, I'm going to take advantage of the time. I am actually starving. So I'm going to have snacks at the ready for just in case this happens again. So it will give me a moment to eat. Don't worry, I'm not going to eat while I'm talking. That's just absolutely disgusting. I just simply have them ready in case there's another delay. Meanwhile, I will go ahead and pull up the Invictus Racing League website, give you an update on the point standings. Of course, I've said that Scopefielder is 35 points ahead of Foxy Red, but I've neglected to update you on the rest of the field. In the third position is CPI Alex. Aaron J. Spence in the fifth position. He is not running with us here today. Tamworth Fox. No, Aaron J. Spence in the fourth position. Sorry, Tamworth Fox in the fifth position. White Fountain in sixth. X Rossi in seventh. Wave and Tail, that is Ton Albanach. He is in the 8th position. VSR Marquesas in the 9th. However, I do believe he's not running with us anymore. M. Doran 09, he's in the 11th position. Rudy, he is in the 13th position. Zyman in the 16th position. TB in the 17th position. Yas, meanwhile, he is not going to be running the F1 League anymore, from what I understand. In fact, give me just a minute. I will give you confirmation on that. Alright, I do have confirmation. Yas will no longer be racing in the F1 Equal League on Wednesdays. He can no longer make Wednesdays, so that's unfortunate for him. So really, it looks like the points battle is only between Scopefielder, Foxy Red, and CPI Alex at the moment. Of course, Tamworth Fox is tied in points with Aaron J. Spence, so with that being tied for the 4th position, he has, a relative chance there. He's only 44 points behind Scopefielder. So if Scopefielder has a couple bad days to where he doesn't score any points, then that gap shrinks tremendously, so long as, the drivers such as, Tamworth Fox and Foxy Red are able to score points, and CPI Alex, who is also up there. So we're about to start the race now. You see all the drivers are just about readied up. Hopefully no more delays, and hopefully no more disconnections. And we can just have a nice race from start to finish here.
The first Belgian Grand Prix was held in 1925 and was designated the European Grand Prix 6 times between 1925 and 1973, when this title was an honorary award given each year to one Grand Prix circuit
I did not know that. Not sure if you were able to hear that or not, but I heard the...
Brazilian racing driver Senna won the Belgian Grand Prix 4 times in a row, from 1988 to 1991. Similarly, British racing driver Jim Clark also got 4 consecutive wins from 1962 to 1965.
Hats off to Codemasters. It's never been quite enough.
Battle of the track between Lewis Hamilton and Raikkonen. Conditions were bad due to a late shower of rain causing Hamilton to spin. However, he managed to claw his way back into the lead in the closing gap where Raikkonen crashed. Unfortunately, Stewart issued a penalty to Hamilton due to alleged corner cutting, meaning he was knocked back down to 3rd place.
Hats off to Codemasters. It's never been quite enough for me to hear what the announcer was saying. So that's actually pretty cool, and I didn't know any of that about this course here. I can't hear what they're saying now, but hats off to Codemasters. Amazing attention to detail there. Very good job. Meanwhile, re-updating you on the running order right now, we have FPL Charlie in the pole position, White Fountain in 2nd, Foxy Red in 3rd, M. Dora in 09 in 4th, Zyman in 5th, CPI Alex in 6th, Tamworth Fox in 7th, V-Sketch HD in the 8th position, 9th is Ozone Never Miss, Ton Almanac in the 10th position, no connection issues here anymore, Rudy Man... I'm just going to call him Rudy. Rudy in the 11th position, TB in 12th, and Scope Builder, your points leader, in the 13th position. The drivers are almost treating this like a practice session, almost, it looks like. At least it looks like FPL Charlie is doing that. There we go. Now the field's starting to bunch up again. Of course, trying to get some heat in those tires, get them ready for the race. And these tires, none of these guys' tires have any laps on them. If you remember, the qualifying session was a rainy one, so they all qualified on intermediates. So, completely fresh tires. As fresh as you can get them, starting this race today. There you see the grid. Well, they're not exactly at the lineup position right now, but they are very much getting bunched up and getting ready to go. The formation lap did get rather spread out, though. Now you see all the drivers lining up on the grid at their appropriate position. FPL Charlie, of course, taking the pole sitter's place. Momentarily, we will be able to start this race. And there, now you have it. The red lights are about to come on. You hear the drivers revving up. You hear those itchy pedal feet. And these drivers are ready to go. 5 lights in the air, and then no lights. Lights out. Away we go. Going into turn 1, this is the Invictus Racing League's F1 Equal League Belgian Grand Prix. White Fountain now out to a very early lead, but FPL Charlie taking it back. White Fountain goes wide. No wrecks at the start. Very clean driving. Just a little bit of drivers going wide. M. Doran now up to the 3rd position. White Fountain in 2nd. Foxy Red 2000 all up on the back bumper of M. Doran right there. Right on his gearbox. Riding on board now with Foxy Red 2000 in the Renault. All these drivers have basically settled into formation now, nose to tail. But that doesn't mean that they are not racing for position, because they very much are. Going now into the SS, M. Doran with a little bit of a lockup in the right front. It's giving Foxy Red an opening. He was going to try to take it, but he did not have the chance to do it that time around. Getting way up on the gearbox of M. Doran. a lockup from White Fountain, a lockup from Endoran down through the downhill section. FPL Charlie still out to a very early lead, and he is increasing that gap. It is now a 1.3 second lead over White Fountain into second position. Foxy Red 2000 getting under M. Doran as M. Doran goes just a little bit wide. Foxy Red 2000 trying to get the podium position, that third position there, but M. Doran has the preferred line going through that right-hander, but the right turns into a left. Foxy Red trying to fight back and fight back hard. Meanwhile, he is getting pressure from Tamworth Fox and the Racing Point machine just behind him. Foxy Red going to ride on board with him now. He's trying to use the slipstream to keep up with him. Doran going to try to maybe make a pass at the end of this very long straightaway. Going to keep you up to date with this battle. Meanwhile, it looks like Schofielder has moved from the 13th to the 11th position. Schofielder moving his way up through the track, and a lockup from M. Doran on that right front is going to allow Foxy Red a chance to pass him, but he was not able to complete that pass. As you can see, Foxy Red 2000 still in the 4th position. FPL Charlie with the fastest lap so far of the race. A little bit of a bump from Foxy Red to the Ferrari of M. Doran. I don't think that was intentional, just a little bit of rubbing. Rubbing is racing after all. And CPI Alex, no, Tamworth Fox. Tamworth Fox just went way off the track. I think there was a connection issue or something there because he just went absolutely straight into the wall. And that is a DNF for Tamworth Fox, and very unfortunate for him today. So Tamworth Fox will finish in the 13th position. It is an official DNF for him. He has retired from the session. Meanwhile, we're looking at V-Sketch HD in the 7th position. CPI Alex in the 5th position. He is chasing down Foxy Red, who is almost a second ahead of him. Foxy Red, meanwhile, still trying to put pressure on M. Doran, but M. Doran is slowly but surely pulling away. FPL Charlie still leading this race. He's led every lap so far, all one of them. On lap 2 right now, lap 2 of 22. Plenty of time to make something happen. FPL Charlie may not be able to run away with this, but right now he is definitely trying, as it is a 3.2 second lead over White Fountain. Going back down the field now, we have Schofielder, your points leader. He has made his way up into the 9th position now, and he is putting pressure on Zyman 118 in that Red Bull. Look for him to be making a pass very shortly. If not in the next 2 corners, then more than likely into turn 1. We're going to stay with Schofielder for just a minute as he makes his way up through the pack. Meanwhile, FPL Charlie, a 147.425, the fastest lap of the session. Schofielder still chasing down Zyman 118. Not able to make the move into turn 1. Didn't even try. Was not close enough going to E-Rogue now. Trying to use that slipstream to keep up with him, but it looks like Zyman is just a little bit faster. He has just a little bit more straight line speed than Schofielder does. V-Sketch HD now with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings from the stewards, undoubtedly for corner cutting. Zyman moves out of the way of Schofielder, allows him to take that position. Schofielder used the DRS to get by him. So Schofielder now in the 8th position. No change up front so far. The top 5 is still the same. Schofielder now going to have to chase down V-Sketch HD. That is 1.8 seconds, but only after he shakes off Zyman 118, who is trying to fight back in that Red Bull. Schofielder goes just a little bit wide, but he goes back onto the track, throws a block on Zyman 118. This is some good racing here, and this is only for the 8th position. Looks like Schofielder now has the advantage, and will he be able to pull away, or will Zyman 118 still close that gap? Zyman 118 trying to stay really close to Schofielder, going to try to use the slipstream on the straightaways as much as he possibly can. Schofielder going just a little bit wide out of that corner there, but he does not get into the grass. He will keep it on the track, and that's exactly what he needs, a little bit wide again out of that corner, but none the worse for wear is Schofielder. Now down a very long straightaway, riding on board with Zyman 118. He is using the slipstream to get close to Schofielder. Will he be able to make a pass into the next corner? He's going to try to maybe outbrake him if he can get close enough. No, I don't think it's going to happen here. No, it will not. He got just a little bit closer than him, but will not be able to make the pass this time. Schofielder, meanwhile, gets a very nice exit out of the final corner, a much better exit than Zyman 118, so Schofielder will retain that position, at least for now. Schofielder now excuse me, 0.7 seconds. Or, excuse me, 1.4 seconds. I had to remember exactly how this is set up. Meanwhile, M. Doran making a move for the second position, and he holds on to it. White Fountain in the third position now. M. Doran in second. Foxy Red trying to make a move on White Fountain now. White Fountain's tires must be wearing down. He is on the medium tires, so no doubt that he would be dropping now. Looks like he's going to try the reverse strategy, though. The soft tires will prevail early on. Look for White Fountain to make up some ground a little bit later, but right now he is just dropping like a rock. Under pressure from Foxy Red, but White Fountain is now pulling away from Foxy Red. Meanwhile, M. Doran out to a comfortable second position. But that is 4.2 seconds behind FPL Charlie, who is just out to a stellar lead at the moment. Can't even capture first and second in the same frame at the moment. That is a very, very big lead, and it is just increasing ever so much each and every lap. Lap 4 of 22 here now. White Fountain under pressure from Foxy Red. Foxy Red right on the bumper. Foxy Red making a move for the third position, and he clears White Fountain, but White Fountain going to try to battle back here. White Fountain on the outside of Foxy Red, but going into turn 1, Foxy Red will have the preferred line. Foxy Red forces White Fountain just a little bit wide. White Fountain has to concede the position. He has to give up at least for now. Battling back though hard, going to use the slipstream as White Fountain, going to try to get back to Foxy Red. Foxy Red meanwhile did not have two good corners there. White Fountain meanwhile did. Using the DRS now, he's going to try to go on the outside of him. They are approaching the S's now, going to be a very tight right-hander here. And contact, there is contact between White Fountain and Foxy Red, and White Fountain, that is going to be a corner cut. I don't think he's going to be penalized for that, but he likely did get a warning. So that is a corner cut. That is an issue with the game there, because obviously, as you saw, Foxy Red got into White Fountain. White Fountain had no choice but to cut the corner, but the game doesn't read it like that. So if we see White Fountain later on get a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting, then, you know, or for multiple warnings, well, that was one of his warnings right there. However, I'm very impressed that the drivers didn't get away with worse than what they did. I don't think there's wing damage on any of the drivers, actually, so that was very nice. Hard racing, but more or less fairly clean, I guess. I mean, I'm not saying Foxy Red did anything intentional there. It was just simply hard racing. And that's what I like to see. Meanwhile, Foxy Red making a move again, goes into the grass just a little bit, and meanwhile, White Fountain gets into him just a little bit, and White Fountain spins off the track now as White Fountain. And this is a major development there as White Fountain. You saw it going into that corner. They were just riding too close together, and there was just a little bit of contact, and it just sent White Fountain spinning around. Good job not to hit anything else, though a very good job locking it up by White Fountain, but he is going from the 3rd position all the way back to the 10th position. Very disappointing day here for White Fountain. Meanwhile, Foxy Red is in the 3rd position now. FPL Charlie out to a 5.1 second lead over M. Doran 09 in the Ferrari. There you see Foxy Red riding on board with him. And Ton Albanach now has a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings from race control. So he's running in the 4th position, so that might as well be at least the 5th or 6th as they run right now. Meanwhile, your points leader of Scopefielder has made his way all the way up to the 6th position and chasing down CPI Alex now. On board with Scopefielder. Thought for a minute he was going to be able to close that gap on CPI Alex, but in fact he was not able to this time. FPL Charlie still out to a 5.3 second lead. He just keeps increasing it with the passage of every single lap. Meanwhile, Scopefielder seems to have more or less stagnated on his move up through the field. He does seem like he's faster than Alex, but I'm not sure if it's going to be a very easy pass or not. He's trying to use the slipstream as much as possible, trying to stay within DRS range so he can take advantage of it when available. And he gained a ton of track position there. He gained a ton of time on CPI Alex that time, and now he has the DRS going into turn 1. Not going to be able to use it. Well, he's not going to be able to make a move with it anyway this time, but he is staying very close to CPI Alex. Alex has a little bit more straight line speed than Scopefielder. It looks like the straight line speed is Scopefielder's weakness here today. Meanwhile, corner exit is his strength. And there you saw V-Sketch HD having a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Meanwhile, Scopefielder trying to make a move on CPI Alex, but he was not able to make it stick going into the S's. Now approaching the downhill section, he is staying right on the back of CPI Alex, just as close as he can possibly be. Right on the rumble strips. Through that corner, using every bit of racetrack he possibly can. Scopefielder trying very hard to move his way up through the field. Scopefielder can get close to Alex, but he just cannot seem to find a good point to make that pass. He's going to try to use the slipstream here down this very long straightaway. Well, more or less, there is a little bit of curves here. Of course, it looks like CPI Alex has just a little bit more motor than Scopefielder does. Therefore, he is really able to gain on him when straight line speed has a play in it. But Scopefielder very good in the corners and very good on exit. Got really close on entry there, using it up. Going into turn 1 now. A good exit from Scopefielder, but CPI Alex, you see there with that straight line speed just pulling away. Scopefielder will be able to make the pass, I think, in about 5 laps time, give or take. Now, he's going to get DRS here this time. This is where he tried to make the move last time. Meanwhile, he is running side by side with CPI Alex, and he cleared CPI Alex. There was a little bit of a connection issue there with CPI Alex. I wasn't sure where his car was lining up. Meanwhile, it looks like White Fountain has officially retired from the session, so that is going to be a DNF for him. There you see V-Sketch HD, number 32 Haas machine. Running in the 7th position right now. Everybody's still chasing FPL Charlie, who is 5.7 seconds ahead of M. Doran 09 in the Ferrari. Foxy Red 2000, 1.8 seconds behind M. Doran. Ton Albanach, 2.6 seconds behind him. Scopefielder now in the 5th position. He is, like I said, he got by CPI Alex just a moment ago. Yellow flag in sectors 2 and sector 3. Not sure what's going on there. There you see Ton Albanach in the Red Bull. Lap 9 of 22 now. Look for drivers to start making pit stops here very shortly. I'd say in the next 3 laps or so, we're going to see drivers on the soft tires come in for their pit stops. Meanwhile, drivers on the medium tires are going to stay out for a little bit longer. So half the field doing the normal strategy, half the field doing the reverse strategy here. So that's going to put a spanner in things. That's going to really, really bring pit strategy into play here. Looks like Scopefielder is ever so slightly closing that gap on Ton Albanach. 1.1 seconds now. And now it looks like there is a DNF from V-Sketch HD. Not sure what happened there. Going to ride on board with Ozone Never Miss and try and see if we can catch up to his car. I don't see a car anywhere off the track. Of course, it may have already been disappeared and towed to the pits. In fact, that looks like that is the case. V-Sketch HD, not sure what happened there, but he is officially out of this race. It is a DNF. V-Sketch has now left the session, still riding on board with Ozone Never Miss. Going to try to see if I can see his car parked anywhere. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. So Ozone Never Miss in his first race here for the F1 League is now in a position of points. Meanwhile, it looks like M. Doran has pitted. FPL Charlie has pitted. Pit stops have officially started here. There you see M. Doran behind FPL Charlie. He's pulling away now. The first two drivers have pitted. Foxy Red 2000 going to stay out for at least one more lap. He is now leading this race 3 seconds ahead of Ton Albanach. Scope Builder just 0.4 seconds behind Ton Albanach. Meanwhile, looks like he's going to try to make a move on him as soon as possible. He has the DRS, but I don't think he's going to be able to do anything with it this time. He's using it to get very close, but not going to be able to make a move. Sketch says he bottled it. Very unfortunate for Sketch. He is officially out of this session, but nonetheless a good effort from Sketch here. Thank you for racing with us today. Hope you enjoy the stream. Meanwhile, we see Scope Builder still trying to make a move on Ton Albanach. Just trying to set the pass up, trying to stay as close as possible to him. Foxy Red 3.3 seconds ahead of this battle here. Look for Foxy Red to pit in the next lap or two. As M. Doran and FPL Charlie have already pitted, they have elected to take the medium tires. Only 13 laps to go in this race. And there you see Foxy Red way ahead of this battle, which Ton Albanach is now starting to put a little bit of space between him and Scope Builder. Through the tight chicane, which is the last set of corners. Foxy Red in the pits, so that will give the lead to Ton Albanach, at least for now. There you see Foxy Red pulling into his pit box now. CPI Alex now in the third position, watching this battle in front of him between Ton Albanach and Scope Builder. Scope Builder has the DRS. He is close to Ton Albanach. He is right on his gearbox. Going to maybe try to make a move on the outside here. Will he be able to complete this pass? No. Ton Albanach had a little bit of momentum on the outside of that corner. Meanwhile, it looks like Foxy Red now has 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, so that's going to put a spanner in things here. Meanwhile, Scope Builder has now taken the lead from Ton Albanach. Your points leader of Scope Builder now the race leader. Putting a lot of distance now on Ton Albanach. It is now 0.4 seconds. Sketch Scope is very quick. Sketch said that Scope is maybe too quick. Yes, Scope is very, very quick. Look at how much he is pulling away from Ton Albanach now. Ton Albanach now almost a full second behind Scope Builder. In another half a lap, he won't even be in DRS distance. These are old medium tires that the top three is on. FPL Charlie, your pole sitter, and the first one to make a pit stop. Right now, he is in the fourth position. And it looks like Foxy Red was able to get by M. Doran, who is 0.4 seconds behind him. However, Foxy Red has that 3-second time penalty, so M. Doran technically is running in the 5th position at the moment. There you see FPL Charlie now rejoining the battle for the lead, or what is left of one. Meanwhile, as Ton Albanach is 0.5 seconds, he is within DRS range now of Scope Builder. He's going to try to use it to get by him. Scopefielder, of course, without the DRS, and he is going to let Ton Albanach by. Ton Albanach now on the inside of Scopefielder. There was a little bit of contact there that allowed Scopefielder to get ahead of Ton Albanach with the momentum on the outside there. Just a little bit of a bump, just a little bit of a tire rub between Scopefielder and Ton Albanach. Meanwhile, you see Rudy has officially retired from this session. Not sure what happened there. So Rudy going to end up finishing in the 10th position here tonight. Ton Albanach 0.7 seconds behind Scopefielder still, and CPI Alex 0.7 seconds behind Ton Albanach. I almost think that Racing Point machine is just a little bit faster than that Red Bull. There you see Scopefielder and Ton Albanach now making their pit stop. CPI Alex inheriting the lead. FPL Charlie going to inherit the 2nd position. Scopefielder will likely be pitting for the soft tires with just 10 laps to go here. Scopefielder and Ton Albanach both pitting for the soft tires. Want to ride on board with Ton Albanach and see if Scope is able to pull away or if he is able to stick with him. Scopefielder out of the pits, and so is Ton Albanach going up through E-Rogue now. The gap is 0.8 seconds. Ton Albanach will have the DRS. Just will he be able to make anything of it? Trying to use that slipstream to get very close to Scopefielder, but cannot make a move into this corner, but he did close the gap. Points leader of Scopefielder there in the 5th position. Meanwhile, CPI Alex still in command of this race. He has yet to pit. He is on old mediums. 12 laps on those medium tires right now. Looks like Scopefielder is going to be pulling away from Ton Albanach. 0.8 seconds now is the gap. Very shortly, if Ton Albanach is not able to close the gap, he will be out of DRS range, and that will allow Scopefielder to just completely sail away. Looks like CPI Alex has now entered the pits for his pit stop. That gives the lead back to FPL Charlie. He is in the Mercedes there. Foxy Red will inherit the 2nd position, and M. Doran in 3rd. Scopefielder will move up to 4th. Ton Albanach in 5th. We'll see where CPI Alex is able to rejoin this race, as he has now fitted the soft tires, rejoining this race in what looks to be the 6th position, right ahead of Zyman 118. In fact, very far ahead of Zyman 118. 6th position is CPI Alex right now. Ton Albanach in 5th, Scopefielder in 4th, and there you see the gap between Scopefielder and Ton Albanach. Ton Albanach still within DRS range. Going to try to make a move on Scopefielder this time. He is trying to move on the inside. Not going to make it work. So this is still a very tight battle. Still a very tight battle between Scopefielder and Ton Albanach. We will check back on this in a moment. Meanwhile, you see FPL Charlie out there running a race of his own, 6.3 seconds ahead of Foxy Red. Foxy Red only 1.1 seconds ahead of M. Doran in the Ferrari, who is 5.5 seconds ahead of the battle between Scopefielder and Ton Albanach. FPL Charlie has now ran the fastest lap, of the session with a 1:46. Ton Almanac now with a 1:46.694. That is the fastest lap of the session. Ton Almanac now getting very close to Scope Filter. Going to try to make the move this time. He has the DRS, and he is now on his inside. Looks like he's going to be able to clear him going into this corner, and he does, in fact, clear him. Ton Almanac now into the 4th position. I think he was saving his equipment, as now it just looks like he is much faster than Scope Filter. Scope Filter trying to fight back hard here. But so far, he's not had any chance to try to make an overtake. We will keep you with this battle. This is the only one going on track at the moment. FPL Charlie, 5.7 seconds in the lead. But I don't think the reverse strategy is really working out here. As you see these 3 guys that have elected to take the reverse strategy, they're not gaining a lot of time. The medium tires have a lot more speed than I expected them to have. So the reverse strategy definitely not the way to go here. And apparently Michael Schumacher won the Belgian Grand Prix 6 times. Not sure why the virtual announcer is telling us this when there is a race going on, but I guess the commentating is completely up to me. Which, you know, I kind of feel bad for the virtual characters in the stands there. They don't have a good announcer, because the announcer is just reading statistics instead of paying attention to the actual race. Ton Almanac, as you see there, is now starting to pull away from Scope Filter. The gap is 0.7 seconds. Foxy Red closing the gap on FPL Charlie by just a little bit, but that is still a 5-second gap, and I don't see Foxy Red making that up in the 8 laps that we have left. Meanwhile, you see CPI Alex in the 6th position. Reverse strategy definitely not going to plan for him here. .4 seconds behind the battle of Scope Filter and Ton Almanac, which is now starting to tighten up even more. 0.2 seconds is Scope Filter from Ton Almanac. And he will have the DRS going down the front stretch here, going into turn 1, but Ton Almanac got a really good exit out of that corner. Ton Almanac, he really does have good corner exits here. It may be Scope Filter's strength here today, but it is also Ton Almanac, so it is these 2 drivers with good exits trying to see who can get the best exit out of these corners. And who can maintain the DRS and use it effectively to make passes. Scope Filter now getting very close to Ton Almanac. These drivers have 5 laps to do it. They have 5 laps to do whatever they are going to do. Foxy Red, meanwhile, has cut the gap down from to FPL Charlie to 4.5 seconds, but I still don't see it being enough time till the end of the race for him to get close. Meanwhile, CPI Alex now has a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings from race control. Schofielder trying to use the slipstream here to get close to Ton Albanach. Maybe going to try to make a move into the final two corners. Not sure if he's going to be able to get close enough this time, but he is definitely trying. He is right on the gearbox of that Red Bull, but not able to make a move. He will get the better exit out of this corner. It does look like Schofielder got a nice exit, but Ton Albanach did as well. Schofielder, of course, with the DRS going into turn one now. And going up E Rogue. Another DRS section awaits just after the next two corners. That will play into Schofielder's hands, who is just 0.2 seconds still behind Ton Albanach. This might be the break he needed. So he has the DRS and the slipstream both. He is trying to make a move on the inside. This will turn it on to the outside, as this is a set of S's. Ton Albanach now on the inside. They are side by side and wheel to wheel, but it looks like Schofielder has the advantage, and Schofielder makes the move, but has not cleared Ton Albanach yet. Ton Albanach and Schofielder still running side by side. Ton Albanach just not ready to give up that fourth position. But he's going to have to, at least momentarily, as Schofielder did, in fact, get away, and he was able to clear Ton Albanach. Now Ton is back on the offensive. Ton Albanach 0.4 seconds behind Schofielder. Schofielder now trying to pull away from Ton. Not sure if he's going to be able to do it or not. These drivers seem to be more or less about just as fast as each other. Of course, none of it is enough for FPL Charlie today, who is still in the lead. Through the final set of quarters, it is now just 4 laps to go. Ton Albanach with the DRS heading into turn 1. Going to try to get the DRS yet again here in just 2 corners time. Meanwhile, you see M. Doran in that bright red Ferrari up there, 3 seconds ahead of Schofielder, 3.5 seconds if I'm being accurate. Ton Albanach now with the DRS, trying to chase down Schofielder. Not sure if he's going to be able to make it work or not. Trying on the outside. And they are side by side and wheel to wheel, and Ton Albanach was able to complete the pass. Ton Albanach now back to the 4th position over Schofielder, who is in the 5th. Meanwhile, Zyman 118 has ran the fastest lap of the session with a 1:46.010. He is running in the 7th position right now. He is on fresh softs. Ton Albanach trying desperately to pull away from Schofielder here, but I feel like their trading of positions has not ended just yet. Of course, it looks like Ton Albanach got a good exit out of that corner, but now Schofielder has more straight line speed than that Red Bull does. That's going to play into his hands. He's also using that slipstream. Meanwhile, Ton Albanach got into the grass just a little bit, probably slowed him down. Going to the final set of corners, it is going to be 3 laps to go for these drivers this time around. FPL Charlie still in command of this race, 5.3 seconds ahead of Foxy Red. Schofielder with the DRS, but not close enough to make a move yet. TV 230 with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings from Race Stewart. He's running in the 9th position. Don't think that's going to affect his position, as that is the last position running on track, as we have 4 DNFs here. That they are the DNFs of Rudy, V Sketch, White Fountain, and Tamworth Fox. Schofielder still trying to give chase to Ton Albanach, but the gap has increased just a little bit to 0.5 seconds, half a second here between Ton Albanach and Schofielder. It looks like that Red Bull is, at the end of the day, just a little bit faster than that Renault of Scope. But Scope giving it all he can here. This is a points battle, and he's going to lose ground as they run right now. With Foxy Red being in the second position, he will gain a little bit of ground on Scope Builder in the championship points. Checking in on FPL Charlie, who is going to cross the line here in just a moment to make it 2 to go in this race. 2 to go for FPL Charlie, who is 4.4 seconds ahead of Foxy Red 2000, who is 4.5-ish seconds ahead of Imdoran 09 in the Ferrari. Of course, 3 seconds behind that Ferrari, 3.9 to be exact, is the battle between Ton Almanac and Scope Builder, the battle that we have been watching for the later half of this race. Ton Almanac with very impressive speed over Scope Builder here, but Scope Builder is going to have the DRS. Looks like he's going to be able to use it to his advantage, might be able to try to make a move here. Scope Builder tries to go on the inside. Ton Almanac fighting back hard, but Scope Builder with the advantage. Scope Builder does get in front of Ton Almanac. Ton Almanac now back on the offensive. He has 2 laps to get something done. If he wants that 4th position, he is going to have to pass Scope Builder and maintain it for 2 more laps. Riding on board with Ton Almanac, he is 0.5 seconds behind Scope Builder now. Scope Builder really looking like his car is coming alive at the end of this race. Of course, these drivers, their tires are the exact same age. They pitted on the same lap at the exact same time. They came out basically nose to tail. And these drivers are both very, very quick. They're both the admins of this league even. So they are running together, very equal drivers here, and this is a very fun battle to watch. Of course, it is almost a full second separating these drivers now, and I think Ton Almanac's chances of getting the 4th position from Scope Builder are dwindling and dwindling very fast. Meanwhile, everybody in this race still chasing the Mercedes of FPL Charlie, who is just now exiting E-Rogue for the final time. He just has to hang on for a few more corners for just another 3/4 of a lap, and he will officially win the Belgian Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Ton Almanac still giving it everything he can and then some to try to catch Scope Builder. He wants that 4th position, and he wants it bad. He wants it right now. Using the DRS and the slipstream to get as close as he can, but just not able to make it work. He may have another chance here, but we're going to see. We are just going to have to see. Through the downhill section, Scope Builder and Ton Almanac still being relatively equal, maintaining distance. They are chasing and getting closer to Imdoran in the Ferrari now. There you see Imdoran just ahead of Scope Builder. Will Imdoran play a factor in this or not? Meanwhile, taking a look at FPL Charlie, he was down the final straightaway before entering the last 2 corners. He is just about ready to win the Belgian Grand Prix. Now entering the final 2 corners, that really tight chicane. He gets through there very cleanly. And now down the final straightaway and across the line, FPL Charlie will win the Belgian Grand Prix for the F1 Equal League and Invictus Racing League. Meanwhile, Scope Builder and Ton Almanac going to battle it out to the line. It's going to be a final run to the finish. And there was contact between Ton Almanac and Scope Builder. So now we're going to see just who is going to finish ahead of who. There was a little bit of contact there. And that, I am choked up. That was impressive. Ton Almanac just going a little too hard in that corner and ended up spinning Scope Builder, but Scope Builder will finish in the 5th position just ahead of Ton Almanac. CPI Alex was able to get by both of them to finish in the 4th position, so congratulations to CPI Alex there for good evasive maneuvering. And congratulations to FPL Charlie, your winner of the Belgian Grand Prix. I will be inviting them to the party now, and I will be interviewing whoever wants to be interviewed. I only have Foxy Red on my friends list at the moment, but your final running order is FPL Charlie with the win, Foxy Red in second, M. Doran in third, CPI Alex in fourth, Scopebuilder in fifth, Ton Almanac in sixth, Zyman 118 in seventh, TB 237.91 in eighth, Ozone Never Miss making his debut here today, bringing it home in a points-paying position of ninth. Of course, there were 4 DNFs there of Rudy, V-Sketch, White Fountain, and Tamworth Fox. There you see the driver's avatar celebrating. And there you have it, your official running order, your official finishing order for the Invictus Racing League's F1 Equal League Belgian Grand Prix. Congratulations again to FPL Charlie on his amazing win. Foxy Red, of course, coming in the second position, and M. Doran in third. We will be interviewing the podium finishers here momentarily. CPI Alex in fourth, Scopebuilder in fifth, Ton Almanac in sixth, Zyman in seventh, TB in eighth, Ozone Never Miss in ninth, Rudy in 10th, V-Sketch in 11th, White Fountain in 12th, and Tamworth Fox in the 13th position. 4 DNFs today, 9 drivers finishing on the lead lap, and thank you for watching. Of course, like I said, stay tuned for interviews. I'll interview as many drivers that want to be interviewed. And give me just a moment here. I am very choked up. My throat is very dry. I need to drink something. Give me just a moment here while we wait on interviews. All right, I am back and waiting for the drivers to join the party. I'm also going to try to add the other 2 that I don't have on my friends list to my friends list. Foxy Red, do you have M. Doran and Charlie on your friends list? All right, could you go ahead and invite them? All right. Foxy Red has officially joined the chat, and he is going to invite the other podium finishers. Just a moment, we will start with our interviews. So while I have you here, Foxy Red, that was a very good race today. Just 1 spot short of the win. I'm sure you were wanting a win there. But congratulations nonetheless. Charlie just completely walked away with it. But you were one of the drivers who decided to, go with the normal strategy of softs going to mediums, where half of the field elected to do the reverse strategy. What led you to feel like the normal strategy was going to work here? And just walk us through your entire race.
Well, the start was not very good. I completely missed the start, and as soon as the lights went out, everyone else was going, and I had quite a poor start. I had wheel spin, I had everything. I almost flew into the wall. And then I was hitting turn 1, and then I was just following the top 3. And I started on the softs compared to the mediums because I saw White Fountain was on the mediums. So I thought, he will be quicker than me by the end of my first stint, but then I'll get a massive undercut, and then yeah, I didn't think that the other strategy was going to work. So, yeah, I went with that, and it worked pretty well. I don't know how on earth I caught Endor with the overcut. I was counting the pitch, and he was literally right there. So, the first stint, bad start. I had a scrap with Endoran and White Fountain, and I went round the outside of White Fountain, and there was contact. It was a pretty scrappy fight. I think if I turned in any earlier, it would have been chaos, and I'd definitely. Oh, well, I say definitely. I haven't seen the replay, so I felt like there was enough room. If I turned in any later, I would have been off the circuit. And then, yeah, he went round. I don't know what's happened. I'll have to have a look at it again. So he was gone. He was out. And Doran, I just gradually closed on him. And then out of the pits, he was there. Slipstream, everything. It was a good move. Just slipstream pass, and then I got myself a 3-second time penalty out of the pits. Up Eau Rouge, cold tyres, slipstream. So I got a penalty. So I tried to get above 3 seconds on Endoran, and it was tough to get away from him because he was just there in the slipstream and he was keeping him at the RS range, and I just had to break that. And once I'd done it, I was flying, and yeah, I flew off the circuit at one point. Scary. I lost like a second, but that was the only bad thing after that, and I just went cruise to second place.
All day it seemed like you were definitely heading for a podium position, but did you ever think that maybe you had enough to challenge FPL Charlie, or was he just too far ahead for the whole race for you to even think about it?
At the start, I was like pretty determined I could get the win. In qualifying, I'd set a really good lap, went pole, but as soon as I set the lap, it started drying. I was like, I ain't got time to set another lap, and I know everyone's going to go faster, so P3 was the best I could get. So I knew I could definitely race to the win, but it was the early battle with me, White Fountain, and Doran that just gave him a huge lead, and once I got past them both, it was just way too late.
Yeah, and like I said, FPL Charlie, he just definitely walked away with it. It does not look like any of the other drivers are wanting to join in for our chat, join in for interviews. So, Foxy Red, unless you have any parting words, I'm going to let you get on with your night. And congratulations on the podium, and thank you for racing with us, and good job out there today.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
All right. And thank you, everybody on Twitch, for watching. I hope you enjoyed the race just as much as I did. And now it looks like Charlie will, in fact, join our interviews very quickly. Unfortunately, I don't have him on my friends list. Give me... reason when I go into my players met, it will not let me send a friend request to FPL Charlie, but he has sent me a friend request, so I will add him and then add him to the chat momentarily. My apologies, PSN is just deciding to have a bad day today. Alright, I have invited FPL Charlie and M. Doran. We'll see if they do join. Alright, FPL Charlie has now officially joined the party. Charlie, that was a stellar race today. You just completely walked away with it and dominated, leading every race. So first off, congratulations. Tell us a little bit about your race, and when did it occur to you that you were more or less heading for a win? Because you were up to, I think, a 5.5 second lead at one point was the highest, and you, like I said, you just completely walked away.
Yeah, I think at the end of the first stint I had a 6 0.8 lead over M Doran, but then I lost a bit in the pits, I think. Just a bit slow in and out of the pit lane, but I was just being cautious. But other than that, it was pretty straightforward. I mean, I think after I pitted, I sort of realised I could win comfortably because I've just done the work in the first stint and others have been held up. So I think I just had to manage tyres and fuel and ERS until the end of the race and just make sure the gaps weren't getting too low. And that was it.
So we qualified in the rain, so, you know, of course, every driver was on intermediates. Did that really... How much of a challenge did that give you? Because, you know, obviously you started on the pole and you led every lap, but considering that qualifying was wet and the race was dry, was that a bit of a challenge to where maybe you got used to the wet track and then you're going to the dry, or would you prefer a wet race?
I quite like a wet race, to be honest. I like driving in the wet. I was a bit surprised that I was on pole because I don't know what assists everyone else is running in this league. I'm not running any, so I just thought maybe the other guys might have a bit of an advantage, but managed to stick it on pole. Yeah, I quite like driving in the wet. I seem to be better in the wet than I am in the dry, so yeah, I didn't really mind either way, to be honest.
All right. Well, I'm going to have to hop off of here very shortly. So, Charlie, congratulations on the win. If you have any parting words, go ahead. Otherwise, I will let you get on with your night. And good job out there, and thank you for racing with us tonight.
Yeah, just congrats to everyone else on the podium and everyone who made it to the end.
Yeah, there was about 4 DNFs out there, so it was kind of wild.
Yeah, it was. It was a good race, though.
Well, you have a good night, Charlie, and I'm not sure if M. Doran even has a microphone, but congratulations to M. Doran on his 3rd place finish as well, and thank you all for watching on Twitch, and you can see the F1 Equal League race next week at the same time on this channel. Also on Tuesdays, you will be able to see the performance race. I apologize for not being able to stream it yesterday. I had to update the game, so I could not join the lobby in time. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Tim, and until next week, goodbye and have a nice night.